somehow Governor Northam had some 69 people who came in contact with him, and he didn't give it to them, and they didn't give it to him. But somehow he got it. And so that evidently proved that his masks worked. But how did they get infected if nobody else got infected? Did you ever wonder how? Maybe that is just the work of scientists to figure that stuff out. Anomalies, phenomenon, theories, and hypotheses, and the cosmos. I am way too busy for that kind of stuff, and it would probably just put my little head to sleep. And with a whopping total of just 5 people who may have a new disease, somebody in public affairs decided to say, "Stop the breast! The sky is falling!" Does that even sound like science to you? I don't know, because I'm not a scientist, but did you ever wonder why? Maybe it's just me. And then we get to Friday the 13th. Trichindectophobia, if that's not coincidence, and it was reported again in ARL Now, a pretty popular go-to source for news for the most educated voters in Virginia. You know, the number of coronavirus cases in Arlington had reached a total also of 5. 5 is the magic number. In a municipality with 234,000 residents and around 29,000 kids in public school, just 5 cases in Arlington, 6 in Fairfax County, and 1 in Alexandria, and a total of 30 cases throughout the entire state, attributed to 10 hospitalizations, but not yet even 1 person had died. And interim superintendent Cynthia Johnson and Arlington Public School Board Chairwoman Monique O'Grady hit the panic button to announce that school would be closed at least until the end of spring, which would remain closed for just about 2 years. Maybe interim superintendent Johnson and school board chairwoman O'Grady read the alarming news in ARL Now that on that unlucky Friday the 13th, Jason is coming out of the woods. With the Dow plunging, the new figures represented a 150% rise in cases in just 1 day, jumping all the way to 5 cases. No deaths, but it was still 5 cases, and it's wholly conceivable it could have been more, right? But if you were, say, Mr. Spock aboard the Enterprise, the science officer boldly going where no man has gone before, would you really tell Captain Kirk that lives were at stake and send out an SOS to the entire galaxy that maybe the Klingons and the Romulans, or much worse, the Borg, might hear? Maybe you would. Very compassionate. But it does not quite sound logical, at least to me. But again, I don't make my living as a scientist dealing with phenomenon and proximal causes and theories and anomalies. Even if the day before Arlington announced the second coronavirus case in the entire county, only 2 catapulted to 5. So, close the schools. Really? In Fairfax County, just 4 days before, on March 9th, Fairfax Health Director Dr. Gloria Ayinsu calmly told people in Fairfax that based on results of our contact investigation to date, which sounds very, very professional, the risk to the general Fairfax community remains low. Just like it was on March 7th when people were celebrating St. Patrick's Day with a huge parade in nearby Alexandria, but on Friday the 13th, maybe they thought there was some cosmic significance. Bigfoot was coming back, with the Dow plunging 2,000 points, that the world was ending. It's the apocalypse! The rapture! You never know. Because even some 26% of atheists back then decided to find God or Jesus and start praying. Imagine that. Fear can be a powerful motivator. And like most girls, I appreciate a man who is not afraid to show his feelings. But there is a time and a place for that, you know, and not in a pandemic when you need cool heads to make calculated decisions to direct effective plans so that you don't cause other socioeconomic harms. And yet on March 14th, the first day that schools were closed in Arlington, the Peninsula Health District reported the deaths of a hospitalized patient who previously tested positive for COVID-19, marking the very first death in the Commonwealth due to COVID-19. Still, just like the first case in Arlington was a person in the 60s, this patient was a male in his 70s who acquired COVID-19 through an unknown source and possibly having a comorbidity. The cause of death was respiratory failure as a result of COVID-19, according to state health officials. Don Byer was over 70 and he had somebody come into his house and party and he didn't give him COVID-19. Maybe it was another one of those anomalies. Nobody even knew how this gentleman had been infected, but he died. And by March 15th, there were a total of 45 cases, about the number of people you could fit on a city bus. And Dr. Ralph Northam decided to begin locking down the entire state, resulting immediately in tenfold increases in unemployment claims, the equivalent of a Hurricane Katrina in every state, according to Axios, and all this for 45 cases of COVID-19. Well, why not? The entire pandemic started with just 27 cases in a city of 11 million in China. And at least 19 by December 31st associated with a venue the size of 9 American football fields. So they called the World Health Organization and they started to panic. But did you ever wonder why? And the Arlington Public Schools may have gotten on Dion's psychic hotline or something because they had closed schools 2 days before the governor, a doctor, and former Army surgeon. And did you ever wonder why? Maybe not. I just have what I like to call an intellectual curiosity that makes me ask questions. But again, I'm not a scientist. I'm not Andy Rooney, and this is not 60 Minutes. Actually, it's considerably shorter. And remember to get vaccinated and boosted when it's your turn. Empirically, like a scientist. This message was approved by Major Mike Webb. Honest.